The literal definition of creativity is the use of imagination or original ideas, specifically in the production of an artistic work. The idea of an original thought in this overpopulated world is now virtually non-existent. Therefore, in order for an individual to be considered creative, there must be more depth to the meaning. Creativity reaches beyond the idea of inception and challenges conventional ways of thinking and acting. A creative mind is an intellectual sponge to the environment, with the ability to take pieces of everything they've ingested and then regurgitate that information in a unique form of expression. In a world immensely evolved by logical thought and action, creativity is left to solve the questions that are yet to be answered. I believe creativity doesn't involve a certain instrument, nor entail an ultimate conclusion such as math and its numbers. Instead, it is comprised of everything you have learned and taken interest in and what you're going to do with it. Creative individuals are those who come up with the outside-the-box ideas that revolutionize the industries they partake in. Since I was younger, I have questioned and analyzed everything, from life and its ultimate meaning to stick figures and why we draw them naked. My childhood adventures were portrayed through Crayola crayons and their extremely ambiguous names. As I got older, the substance of my questions became deeper, and I would create works to attempt to develop correlations to my observations. I began to take interest in the idea of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I focused on opposite extremes and questioned how two ideas could be so different in a world where so many aspects are universally alike. This opposing nature of life has remained my focus in my body of work. I attempt to push both ends together and create a common ground within contrasting subjects. The connection I create through my artwork, I try to relate to my life and all the ends I need to make meet with myself and my surroundings. When asked to name what influences me and the artists I draw my inspiration from, several names come to mind. The first and foremost being Caravaggio, an Italian artist credited with many prestigious religious commissions. He also played a crucial role in the development of the chiaroscuro technique, which involves the extreme contrast between the distribution of light and shade in the picture. My body of work focuses on the abstract idea of the opposite extremes, as well as the concrete within what is made visual. This technique resonates within my work, as well as with the contrasting subjects being portrayed. The second artist from whom I draw inspiration from is a London street artist who calls himself Banksy. His body of work is beyond clever, although my interests lean more towards his ability to manipulate reality. Through his famous Shortcuts project, he was able to push the boundaries of vandalism and turn his illegal misdoings into an artistic masterpiece. The name Shortcuts derived from the idea of how long it takes for a prominent artist to be recognized in a museum, and what he would do to expedite the process. He recreated masterworks with a twist of his imagination and secretly hung them in the world-famous art museums. Some of these pieces remained on the walls for weeks and attracted mass attention. Because he was so successful in this, the project was deemed an artistic achievement as opposed to an act of vandalism in the public's eyes. This project broke the very boundaries created by mischievous artists and is the epitome of creativity. When engaging myself in a new work of art, I attempt to relate to these artists as much as possible, their concrete techniques as well as abstract. I aim to create something that causes people to question themselves and their conditioned views of society, something so influential as to break the path of moral thinking, not to become immoral but instead aware of your surroundings, to not overlook certain aspects of your life that seem mundane, for there is a lesson in everything as long as you pay attention. It is always better to be overdressed. Likewise, it is to be overprepared and constantly aware. I believe creativity involves an acute sense of awareness of your surroundings. Therefore, I may be able to pull inspiration from any and everywhere I feel drawn to in order to create my next work of art. I find myself taking note of reflections and patterns created from both inorganic and organic forms. Like a creative spy, I survey my surroundings and observe how the light bounces off various mediums and lands across others. I analyze colors that work with and against my environment, so I may be able to better understand and reciprocate cohesive patterns of color within my designs as well as my own body of work. Through attending Miami Ad School, I will be able to unleash my full potential as a young creative to this new world and become a lion in this industry. My name is Christopher Serrano, and I know I would be a good candidate for Miami Ad School.